Have any of you been to a baby shower? You know what a baby shower is? Okay, what? Okay, so when a baby is born or about to be born, then they might have a party to celebrate the birth of the baby and to bring some gifts. Yes. He thinks Jesus had a baby shower. Tell me about the baby shower that Jesus had. Okay, so he received food and water at his baby shower. Well, yes, Jesus had some visitors. Do you remember who the very first visitors were that Jesus had? The shepherds. Okay, and there was a birth announcement that went out to them. Do you remember what that birth announcement was? It was that. Yes, the angels praising God. That's right. And they went to see. And who were the second visitors that we heard about this morning? Okay. Okay. Jesus was in the baby tub? In the baby tower? No, shower. New time. Okay. Okay, he was at the baby shower. Well, all right, so we heard about the wise men, the magi, that were coming because they had had a birth announcement too, and it was, what was it? There. Okay, one more question. Up here? Yes, he's here too. That's right. So the wise men saw a bright light in the sky, didn't they? It was a star in the morning, and it was something different that they had not seen before, and they believed that God controlled the heavens. And so if something very special happened, then they would see it in the stars, and they'd been studying them. And sure enough, that morning, they saw this bright light. They knew that the King of the Jews had been born. And so they had to make provisions to go. It was a very, very long trip. And so they had to take lots of camels and food to eat and maybe servants. And
yeah, and they have camel food.
All right. So the first wise man came and brought gold. So can we have the first wise man? The first wise man came, and he brought the baby Jesus gold. Well, by this time, Jesus was maybe 9 months old or a year old, because it was a very long time. Thank you. Let's give this to the baby Jesus. Let's see. Let's put it.
Well, you pretend to be the baby.
Put it back over here. Okay, thank you. Then we had a second wise man that came, and he brought frankincense. What the? That's right. Thank you.
I think people are questioning because frankincense kind of sounds like Frankenstein.
Oh, okay. He was saying that some people are questioning because frankincense sounds kind of like Frankenstein. And so frankincense was a fragrance, a smell, like incense that they used in the temple. And then we had a third. What's that?
I have a question about Weeping Angels.
A Angels?
No, weeping.
Weeping angels?
No.
Okay.
That's not.
Oh, he's watching Doctor Who. Just a minute. Okay, then we had a third wise man. And he brought a gift of myrrh. That's how we think that there were three of them, because there were three gifts, but there may have been a lot more. Thank you. And myrrh was an oil that they used on a body after a person had passed away. So these gifts meant something very special about Jesus. The first one, gold, meant that he was a king. It was a costly gift for a king. Frankincense meant that he was a priest, like a high priest. And the third one, the myrrh, meant that Jesus would give his life for each one of us. And so they had very significant meanings. Now, I think, it's not in the Bible, but I think there was a fourth wise person. And I think it was a wise woman. And how do we know there was a wise woman? Because the wise men stopped for directions. She would have had a practical gift, because gold, frankincense, and myrrh, those are unusual gifts for a baby, aren't they?
That's Christ.
She brought them. So the gifts were very special, and the people who brought them were from a foreign country very far away, which is important. And also the fact that there were shepherds that went to see Jesus, and there were people from a foreign country that went to see Jesus, because Jesus is for all people. And that's what we heard today. Question? Question? Maybe after, okay? I'll leave it where you can see it afterward. Yeah, those are diapers. One more question? Yeah, those are diapers. And so, if you were going to see the baby Jesus and knew that he was a king over all the world, what is something precious that you have that you would want to give to this precious baby? Something that's really important to you. I'm sorry? Food.
Video games.
Okay. What else might you do? Might bring water. Okay. And in the desert, that's real important, isn't it? Okay, anything else? Back here? Diapers. Remember diapers. You notice it's the girls. Okay, one more, and then I want to tell everybody else a story. Shelter. Okay, there are a lot of good things that you can give, but you know what Jesus wants more than anything to receive from you? Video games. He wants to have your heart, and he wants your life, and he wants you to know that he loves you more than anything. And so that's what Jesus wants to tell you and wants from you. So now if you all can return to your seats, I have one more thing to tell everyone. Thank you for helping. I want to
to tell all of you a story that happened, and it's based on, in my mind, on the Ephesians passage. In the Ephesians passage, the writer to the Ephesians wants us to know, wants the Gentiles to know, the foreigners to know, us to know, that God intended all along that all people would be gathered to Him. And He puts it in family terms of adoption. When I was in Atlanta for Christmas, my son was telling some friends of his the story of the day that we went to pick up his adopted sister, my adopted daughter. I had never heard part of it, so I listened with great interest. He told them about going to the adoption agency, but before that, there was much preparation when you're going to adopt. You fill out papers, you have interviews, you have home visits, there are a lot of things that go on. And you wait, and you wait, and you wait. And then you find out that you're approved, and you wait some more. So we were down in Houston, my son and me, and he was 7 years old. And we were in Houston visiting my mother when the telephone call came. And my mother said, "Here's the phone, it's for you." And I answered it, and the social worker said, "Your baby girl is here. When can you come pick her up?" So we had to drive back up to Conroe from Houston, pick up my husband, and drive back to the adoption agency. We went upstairs, and the social worker gave us background information and said, "Do you still want to adopt?" And we said we certainly did. But then she took my son, who we call Poncho, downstairs. And he disappeared, so I did not know what happened until this Christmas. And my son said that the social worker took him downstairs to a room. And there were several cribs in that room. And she took him in front of one crib and said, "Poncho, meet your baby sister." And then she showed him, and he did this to his guests and said, "Hold your arms like this." And she placed that tiny baby in his arms. And then they came back up the stairs and handed Happy into the arms of us, the waiting parents. And I was so excited about this. We didn't have car seats like you have today. And so driving back to Conroe, I was holding that tiny baby in my arms. And when a truck would pass by, I'd go like this. So they could see that baby. And then when I got home, I plugged in this big coffee pot, put on some coffee, and started calling all the neighbors to come and see our new baby. And that's how parents are with their babies. Well, I see in that whole thing about my son descending the stairs and finding that baby and bringing the baby up to her new parents. And that's what Jesus did for us. Jesus descended from the heavenly places and came down to earth to gather up all of us, to make us all sons and daughters of the living God. And as adopted children often do, they take on the characteristics of the family in which they reside and live in their adopted family. So we have to ask ourselves, do we take on the appearance of Jesus? Do we show a family resemblance? And do we look for the Christ in the other, brothers and sisters of the faith? And what might we offer to Jesus? What is precious to us that we can offer to Him and give Him thanks and praise because we are the family of God. And God is gathering all people to Himself through Jesus Christ. Amen.